Hello everyone, Darcinova here. We're going to review this masterpiece that Frank Miller did, The Dark Knight Returns. This comic is perhaps the most influential to the Batman mythos, along with The Killing Joke and Batman Year One. These comics I'm mentioning, especially this one, are the reason why many of the series that we know today, from the video games, from the animated series of the 90s to Batman 89, were all inspired by The Dark Knight Returns. Hell, even Nolan's films, as much as I don't like Nolan, were all inspired by this. It all started here. This is, in my opinion, one of the best references when it comes to telling a good Batman story on screen. This is one place to look. This is one of the best Batman stories ever written. And because it's an Elseworld story, the writers who actually wrote this, Frank Miller, had more creative freedom to write a story without being, worrying about continuity. This is a great fucking panel here as a showcase of the artwork. Now, if you're not familiar with this art style, it may throw you off at first, but it kind of did me. But honestly, I dig the art style for this book. I think it's unique. I haven't really seen other comics that really replicate it well. It works really well. It feels like a character is actually moving in this comic with the art style. And I'm surprised they actually managed to translate this in the animated adaptation. I mean, if you look at these panels, this was not an easy comic to adapt. But still, this comic has held up well in the past 30 years. This pretty much started, I would say, the modern age of comics. This is the reason why. Yeah, I'm just looking for a good shot. Here's some examples of how great the artwork is. This, in my opinion, is an essential Batman story to read, because if you don't read this Batman story, I'm not going to say you're not a Batman fan. I'm just saying your experience as a Batman fan is unfinished, because it's one of the essential stories to actually truly appreciate the Dark Knight. Now, some people may say this is overrated. A certain YouTuber, I disagree. I don't think this is overrated at all. I think this deserves the praise that it gets. I really do. One of my favorite scenes, holy crap, in this book. Now, the version I bought is basically the DVD and Blu-ray combo for the deluxe edition. I'm not going to show any more because I'm trying to respect those who haven't read it or seen the animated film. But this comic is a masterpiece. One of the greatest comic books to ever be drawn and written. Now that I've read this, I've actually appreciated a lot of the stuff that I own for Batman, like Batman 89, the animated series, the Arkham games, everything else. I appreciate the Batman character more. I've seen the movie before I've read the comic, but I feel like reading the comic is a different experience, because I feel like when you read the comic, I feel like your experience as a Batman fan is complete, because I don't feel like to truly become a fan of the Batman comics, I feel like one of the comics you need to read to complete that journey is The Dark Knight Returns. Especially if you claim to be a comic book enthusiast, this is one of the comics you have to read. I'm sorry. If you claim to be a big comic book fan, this is something you have to read, is that I would rank this as some of the top 10 best comics ever written. Some of the best comics to ever grace. In my opinion, in terms of Batman stories, it's one of the best Batman stories ever written. It deserves the praise that it gets. It deserves everything that people say about it. It's a masterpiece. Now, if only that Frank Miller and DC had just left it alone and have it be just one good short story, whatever. You know what I mean? A one-off. But nope, they had to do sequels, and they're complete pieces of shit. Ignore those and just read The Dark Knight Returns. Now, my recommendation is, if you're going to get this, if you can, get the DVD and Blu-ray combo, which is just what I got. This is the hardcover that comes with The Dark Knight Returns, deluxe edition. That way, you get the comic and you get the movie. I primarily got this for the deluxe edition, but I also wanted The Dark Knight Returns because I feel like a real Batman fan, me, has to have this in his collection. And I give The Dark Knight Returns, a masterpiece rating. It stood the test of time. Any person who's a Batman fan or any person who's a comic book enthusiast, definitely check it out. You won't regret it. This is Darcinovia signing off.